Hi and welcome back to the channel. If you're here, it's hopefully because you've already watched part 1 of the initiative tracker. If you haven't, do make sure you go over here and check that link out and make sure to watch that first, then come back here and you can watch part 2 where I'm going to show you 2 different options for making magnetic markers to go with your Excalibur initiative tracker. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you later. Bye! For supplies, please be sure to check the description below. For the first label option, what you first want to do is find a banner style that you like the appearance of. I am going to include a link to the one that you see pictured here in the description below. Then what you want to do is basically just play around with whichever photo program you want to, and you can add in the names of your characters. Ultimately, the most important thing is that your banners measure about 2 inches long and about a half an inch wide when you're done with them. The next step you're going to do is make sure you print them out. Now, as a quick little cheat to help protect these while you're using them in play, this is something I've done for years to kind of protect printed out items, is you get this crystal clear tape. This is something that's usually used for wrapping presents. You can find it very easily with any other Scotch tape type product. But what I do is take a strip of this tape and I put it carefully over the labels to protect the labels. Now, you want to be sure when you're putting this tape on, it helps to hold either end of your tape in your hands, pinch between your pointer and your thumb, and gently place it on top. Smooth out one end of the tape and then smooth out the other end of the tape to prevent any bubbles or wrinkles happening. If this is something you haven't done before, I do recommend you practice this on just some plain paper before you start doing this on your labels. For the next step in this process, you want to make sure you have a thin corrugated cardboard on hand, as well as a specific Craft Bond glue stick. I find that this holds a lot better and lasts a lot longer, which is why I'm making sure to recommend this particular type of glue stick. What you're going to do is you are going to take that thin corrugated cardboard, and here's a picture of it so you can see what I mean, and you are going to slather that up with that glue stick. Let it just get a little bit of air for a couple seconds, and then you're going to place your labels on top. Smooth out the bubbles and make sure they're nice and flat. And then what you do is turn it upside down so that the labels are face down on top of a table, and put a book on top of them while it dries to prevent the cardboard from curling or anything else from getting a little wonky on you. I let this dry for a good hour before I went on to the next step of the process. While it might be tempting to use a utility knife to cut these out, I do not recommend doing that because there is a chance that the utility knife is going to drag across the top and rip the paper off of the corrugated cardboard. So in this case, you want to make sure you have a strong, sharp pair of craft scissors. And I found cutting them in this pattern also makes it much easier on you to prevent bending the cardboard or causing any other further mars on the product. So what you first want to do is take the scissors and you are going to cut the top edge of each label, so it's sectioned off as you see in this picture following. After you get the top part done, you move on to cutting off the lower part of the length of the label. Once you get all the lengths of the lower side of the label cut off, you can then snip off either side of the edges that are left on these label pieces. And when you're done, you should end up with these nicely trimmed out pieces that now have the cardboard backing to have made them nice and strong and a little bit more durable. Since the tracker is magnetic, I did need to add a metal element to the back of these labels so the labels will attach to the tracker easily. This was done by taking some thumbtacks that I found at Dollar Tree, and basically what you want to do is trim off the stem with the pointed end of that thumbtack. You want to leave a little bit of it left, but the point is to get rid of the point. Now when you go to do this, please be sure that you aim this away from your face and do wear protective eyewear while you're doing it, just in case, because you don't want metal flying into your eye. Little safety tip there. When you are done, you should end up with these thumbtacks having just a very shortened stem, as short as you can possibly get it without cutting it off entirely, because you do want a little bit left to puncture into the corrugated cardboard when you're done. Moving along, what I found help is to take my cutting mat and place these labels lined up with each other on the cutting mat, and making sure I had them between inch lines so that I could take that center line and use that as a means to poke in some very shallow, small points into the back of the labels using a very sharp pencil. That makes it a lot easier to add the tacks in a little bit later. Then you're going to take E6000, you're going to put a dollop on each of those labels where you've just made those indentations, and finally you are going to take those tacks and place them above that dollop of E6000 with the hole, and you're just going to gently press it into the cardboard to make sure to secure. Let them dry thoroughly, and then you should be able to flip them over, see everything's looking good, that you didn't puncture through the front of the label. Be careful you don't do that. And just as one last means of protection, just give it one thin coat of matte Mod Podge just to make sure everything stays in place and is good to go. And this is your first label option completed. For the second label option, I thought it'd be fun to add a more visual element by using character portraits. Now make sure you watch through this video because I am going to highlight the artists who were so kind as to create these for me. Really talented guys put some work in here for me, so I appreciate that. But what you're going to do is you're going to take those epoxy 1-inch cabochons that I have used in a previous video, and you're going to place them over a shrunken down portrait, and you're going to basically position it where you want to feature that face. Once you have those all in position, you are then going to take a sharp pair of scissors and carefully trim them out. Once you get them trimmed, you're going to have these nice little circles ready to go. And then the next step is you're going to take bottle caps. Now, you have an option here. You can either purchase the bottle caps, and yes, I have a link in the description below, or you can take bottle caps that you might have on hand and finish them however you choose. In my case, we did have bottle caps, so I simply sprayed them down with some gold spray paint, made sure it cured properly, and sealed them. And then you're going to place these epoxy cabochons inside the bottle caps. Now, you want to make sure that you use your hot glue gun, put a nice thick dollop inside, carefully place the cabochon inside, press down with your thumb, hold for a couple seconds to make sure it adheres, and that is going to help place your portraits inside the bottle caps. Now here's a little don't do it tip for you, because I did, and it didn't turn out well. At first I was going to use white glue like Elmer's glue. I don't recommend using it for this project because what I discovered is that the glue won't dry. Between the epoxy cabochon and the metallic bottle cap, the glue basically just sits there, and then what it does is it mars the picture. So please use hot glue for this. Do not use white glue. Now, we're going to use the same label creation that we did for option 1. However, in this part of the process, you do want to be sure that the names are offset to one side so that you have a space to attach it to the back of the bottle cap. Now, unfortunately, I don't have pictures of this because some of my media got lost in translation. So what I've done here is I'm just showing you another photo of the labels that I used for option 1, just to give you an idea. And again, you're going to make sure that you offset it, and then you want to be sure, in addition to putting that Scotch tape, the clear tape on the front side of the label, you also do it to the back part of the label to protect it. Now, if you want to, before you apply the tape to the back part of the label, you can write in the character's name on the back, just as an easy way for the DM to see which character is sitting where from the back part of the initiative tracker. Little tip there. Once you get your labels prepped and ready to go, you are then going to take your label and a thin piece of the same kind of tape, and you're basically going to tape that label onto the back of the bottle cap. Then what you want to do with that bottle cap is take the matte Mod Podge and put a very thin coat all over the back part of the bottle cap to seal the tape against the bottle cap, and again add another protective layer. Once everything is dried and ready to go, you're going to end up with these really great visual pieces to act as your initiative markers. And one thing about these is keep in mind that you can only get about 7 of these on the tracker. So if it's something where you have a larger party, you're going to need to think of a way to either extend the length of the tracker itself, or you may just want to feature your PCs only and leave the NPCs and the bad guys to the DM to kind of keep on a separate sheet of paper. So that's how you create label option 2. I wanted to take this time to feature the artists who have contributed to this. So we have Jonathan Meyers first, and the sketches he made for me were absolutely fantastic. But he also does color work. So if you want to take a look at what he does, please make sure to follow this link that you can see on the screen. I'm also going to have it in the description below. But he does great work with color, great work with sketches. I really can't recommend him enough. So do be sure to get over there and check out his work on his website. Now we're going to move on to Jim, and Jim did a fantastic job again with these character sketches. He really captured our Lynn and our Nodder. So here are some additional shots that he had going on while he was working on them. He even gave me a couple other options of the same character, which I thought was fantastic. Again, please go check him out at his information here. And now we're moving on to Michael, and he is another talented guy. I liked the sepia tones, but he has this wonderful sense of whimsy to his work as well. So make sure you're checking things out at his places as well. He's got a bunch of various social media as well as his own website. Please go and take a look at his work. And then finally, for the last sketch, we had my character Teresia, which my friend Stefan did for me. Now, he is one of the admins of the Miniature Underground, and you can contact him through Facebook, and he'd love to hear from you. And here we go with our final look with these labels up on the initiative tracker. Again, thanks so much to those artists. They really did help amp up the look of the final results here. Please be sure to go to their social media sites and websites, which are in the description below, and check them out. And again, for those who want a more simple and a way to get more labels onto the tracker itself, you have the first label option you can use as well. And if you want to see how you make this tracker, do be sure to check out the video that I linked for you in the beginning of the video and will appear at the end of this video to make it easier to find, or you can scroll down in the description and the link will be there as well. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, as always, if you have questions, please comment below, or you can email me at thecraftingmuse.email@gmail.com. If you've liked this video, please be sure to hit that like button, and if you'd like to while you're here, make sure to subscribe. Thanks again, and have a great day. Ooh, I think there was a one cake. One cake? No, see, I can't even. I think it was a one take, not a cake. One cake? You want a one cake? Winner gets a one cake. All right. Da-da. Oh, I'm gonna have to crop. Crap. Ah! The funny thing is, 1, 2. Don't ask. Just don't ask. It's easier that way. So much easier.